What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update. A few bits and pieces to get through already. The 8th of January, no signings coming through the door as of yet, but maybe there are some potential incomings. And let's talk about Ruslan Malinowski first, though, as Fabrizio Romano said yesterday that Ruslan Malinowski was close to joining Tottenham, but negotiations stopped as Spurs were only interested in a loan. And now we have got the here we go as well to Malinowski to Marseille in a £10 million deal. What was your opinion on Malinowski? Did you want to see him through the door?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was kind of the player that we probably wanted, but it needs to be on our terms as always. Maybe the age issue, that was part of the problem. And that's why we were typically going like we did with, obviously, Romero, with Kulusevski, and going out on loan with an option or an obligation to buy. So, yeah, I think we need someone of that mould. But again, it's fallen short for whatever reason. Once again,
it's frustrating because if you earmark someone to be someone that's good for your team and you're out there actively trying to get him in, and he's going for such a relatively low price of 10 million at the end of the day, surely you just go and get the deal done.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd like to see it. I think the issue is as well, you're seeing other clubs like your Chelseas and everyone else going out and doing business and just getting things done under the radar before the window opens. Liverpool with Gakpo. Yeah, you just want to, if that's the type of player that we've identified, we should just go out and do it, right? It's not like it's, 100 million that we're asking to. So 10 million, there's not going to be much of a sell on or anything else, but 10 million in this day and age for a player that fits your system is nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think on Malinowski, I do think there are better options out there for us, but like I said, if you're going to go for a player, then go for him. Don't just go for him half-assed and let other people go and get your targets. But alas, Malinowski has gone to Marseille. The here we go has been given by Fabrizio Romano yesterday. So let's move on from Ruslan Malinowski and let's talk about one other one that's been going on for quite some time, and that is Pedro Porro. And publication out in Portugal called Record Portugal say that Barcelona and Atletico Madrid have contacted Sporting regarding Pedro Porro. Barca could make an offer for the defender at the end of the season. They also went on to say Tottenham have allocated €5 million a year for Pedro Porro in any case they reach an agreement with Sporting. Spurs' wage offer would double the defender's current salary. And a publication called Ebola says that Chelsea are also in the race for Pedro Porro. I mean, Ebola is not exactly the most reliable source, so I'm not too worried about that one. But we all knew this was going to happen with Pedro Porro. If you don't lock him down, you don't meet that release clause that Sporting want, then you're going to lose him in the summer because clubs that can probably pay more and that may be a bit more attractive than Spurs will come across in the summer. And that's so frustrating to me because how many reports have we heard saying Pedro Porro, the perfect for Antonio Conte's system. He's the one that Conte wants. His release clause is €40 million. So just meet that release clause. It's not like, again, for a player that you desperately want and desperately need, and we've got that gaping hole within the squad, just get it done.
Yeah, it's frustrating because, look, we don't know where we're going to be at the end of the season. We know where we are now. We are still in the Champions League. We know what we're fighting for, but at the end of the season, we might not be in the Champions League, and then that also affects the players' desire, let's just say, to want to move to a club. And obviously, we know Chelsea have been playing the transfer market like, FIFA Ultimate Team or Fantasy Manager and just buying everything up.
You know what it's like? It's like when you copy someone else's work. Every club every top club that gets linked with a player, suddenly 24 hours later, Chelsea come in.
Yeah. And look, I think we just need to, like you say, again, it's not. 45 million euros in the grand scheme of things is not a massive amount of money when we're seeing, players potential. Fernandes going to Chelsea for 107 or 125 million or something ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's just that like you said, it can be written off over the course of the contract, and there is a sell on. It's a bit different from the Malinowski deal. There is going to be value to be made from the player, and we just need to go and get it done. It's 45 million euros. That's what they want. They've said that's what they want. So let's just go and do it.
Exactly. Let's move on. Let's talk about the goalkeeping situation now. And first up, we'll talk about David Raya. And Matt Law says that Tottenham identify Brentford's David Raya as a long-term successor to Hugo Lloris, whilst Pickford is also on the list. We'll get on to Pickford in a minute. But starting off with David Raya, I mean, he's one which I highly value. I think he's a top keeper, and he's going to be an even better keeper. Playing really well for Brentford this season, got called up to the Spanish squad for the World Cup ahead of David De Gea, so that shows you where Spain's heads are at with David Raya. He's a player which I think is really good with the football at his feet, as opposed to maybe Hugo Lloris is, where sometimes wanting in that situation. He's a really good shot stopper. Can't really see too many weaknesses with him. I think he's the one that I'd actually want.
Yeah, look, obviously we've been linked, there's three keepers we've been linked with. There's Meslier, there's Pickford, and there's Raya, and they're kind of, you know, Pickford's at the end, Meslier's at the start, and sort of Raya's in between, right? And I think what is it that we need? We need someone that's gonna, you know, is played, you know, he's playing some great football, like you said. He's replaced David De Gea in that World Cup squad, and look, I think I'm with you. I think it's just something. Again, we know that Hugo's only got a certain amount of time left, and we need to find that replacement. Forster's not the answer, obviously, and we've never really, you know, Hugo's been there for so long. We've gone through so many backup goalkeepers, and there's never really been one. I mean, I think the last one that probably would have been close to maybe replacing Hugo would have been probably Gazzaniga.
Yeah.
And that's a long time ago.
Yeah, and even Gazzaniga, you know, he came in a couple of games and looked good, but whenever he had a prolonged amount of time in the team, he wasn't good enough, let's be honest. And I think his career path after leaving Tottenham has proved that. But David Raya is definitely one that I would like. But let us know in the comment section below which of the three keepers that Barry mentioned, who would you like to bring in the summer. But let's talk about Jordan Pickford now, because the Mirror saying that Tottenham have targeted Jordan Pickford to replace Hugo Lloris, and Spurs believe that they can tempt Pickford, who has 18 months left to run on his contract, and if he continues to snub improved offers, could be open to a summer approach from Tottenham. I mean, I can see why Jordan Pickford would be very interested in coming to Spurs, but he's just not one that excites me.
No, he's not. And I think, look, obviously the way where Everton are at the moment, we were saying earlier, it just stinks of Everton getting relegated and Spurs offering 15, 20 million for Jordan Pickford because they think they'll be getting value for money, which is not what we want to do. Obviously, yes, okay, Pickford's done well for England, but isn't it improvement on Hugo? Probably not. He's a good shot stopper, but ball at the feet, I'm not too convinced by Pickford.
Yeah, me as well. Let's move on. Let's talk about Jed Spence now. Ali Golder's given us a bit of a Jed Spence update, and he said Spence has been the model professional at Tottenham and has not complained about his lack of game time or dropped his standards. The defender, who is awaiting to hear if he'll go out on loan, is wanted by 3 Premier League clubs and Bayer Leverkusen. There is no desire from Tottenham or the player to send him out to the Championship, which is spot on in my opinion. If he is going to go, he has to go to a Premier League club. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be too against him going to the Bundesliga for someone like Bayer Leverkusen if he's going to play week in, week out, but I would much prefer a Premier League move for him.
Which Premier League club, Ben, would you say?
Which would be suited to him. I mean, maybe someone that play 3 at the back, that play a wing-back system. I can't think off the top of my head who maybe do that. But someone of that ilk. I mean, I'd like to see him go to maybe even someone like Leeds that play front foot attacking football, where he can play week in, week out. But look, Jed Spence, it's good to hear that from Ali Gold that he has been the model professional and not been complaining about his lack of game time or dropped his standards, because before he came to Spurs, we did hear of the kind of attitude problems that he has faced over the last couple of years. So it's good to hear that. But I just feel like Antonio Conte is using him as a bit of a pawn in between his kind of relationship with Daniel Levy. But like I said, if he is going to go out on loan, which I think is probably the best thing to do for him if he's not going to get game time anyway, but it has to be to a Premier League club.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like we saw obviously Oliver Skipp drop down with Norwich in the Championship. Obviously Spence was there with Forest and he's had that experience. You're right. It needs to be a Premier League team that he's going to get minutes with. That's exactly what needs to happen to build his confidence, to show everyone, I guess, at the football club what we've signed for this amount for this player. Because at the moment we're not seeing it, and we're only getting told what Conte's seeing in training.
He's not ready. He's not ready. That's all we're hearing consistently. Let's talk about some injury news now with the big North London derby coming up next weekend. Ali Gold has says that Dejan Kulusevski is the most likely of the current injured Tottenham players to face Arsenal on Sunday, while Rodrigo Bentancur is also expected to return to the squad. Richarlison is currently behind the pair in the race to return to fitness. So good news on Kulusevski and Bentancur. Shame about Richarlison, who is in a race to return to fitness. But it sounds like, from what Ali Gold says, is that all three are in contention.
Yeah, look, I think I was wondering whether or not this would be kept quiet and there'd be some mind games with Conte during the week, because I know he likes to get into Arteta's head. But yeah, it looks like I think Bentancur won't necessarily come straight back in. Kulusevski, I think 100% would come straight back in. And then, yeah, Richarlison off the bench maybe, but they need to be ready. We can't just rush them back just because it's a North London derby, just because we need them. We need to think of the bigger picture. But yeah, I mean, look, it would give everyone a massive boost. I remember last year when we were outside the stadium and we had the news that Romero wasn't going to play, and we kind of all suddenly thought, oh my God, this isn't going to be great. And obviously Sanchez came in and played really well. Hopefully it's the other way around. We get the news and say, Kulusevski and Bentancur and Richarlison are going to play some part of the North London derby, and it's going to, that's going to be the excitement. I mean, look, North London derbies are North London derbies. Whatever form is happening, we know Arsenal are top of the league and we know they're playing well, but it all goes out the window for these games. And I just hope that, if we have two or three of them back, for next weekend, that'll be a massive boost for everyone.
Yeah, it'll be a major boost. Just, 2 out of 3 of them, I think, would be amazing. Even just one of them, to be honest, will be a major boost. One of Kulusevski or Bentancur. But we'll have to see how that progresses during the week. And last but not least, we have another award within the squad, and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg has won Danish Footballer of the Year. So big up, Pierre. Thoroughly deserved, to be honest, in what hasn't been the greatest year for Danish football after that World Cup.
Yeah, look, it's a trophy, right? So we've added to the Audi Cup and the Watertoll Memorial trophy. Look, yeah, I think it's Højbjerg has he's kind of been a standout player, and he thoroughly deserves it. And like you said, Ben, Denmark had a massively disappointing World Cup, and it's, I guess, something that for Højbjerg, it's something to kind of thank you, but let's kind of move on. I think that'll kind of be his response to it. It's great, but I want to win things, domestically and with my international team. Absolutely.
So that is your Tottenham update for today, and we'll see you all very soon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.